Nimble, stay dandy, baby. Sometimes a retired shinobi just needs to take a Gatling gun and shoot Boruto in the face. That's what this entire episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations is all about, as Boruto, Team 7, and Katasuke go to try and save Konohamaru and Mugino and investigate this mysterious crash ship which is covered with all sorts of deadly fire-breathing puppets. As if that weren't enough, they also encounter Ao again, and this time, he's not really all that friendly as he reveals himself as an outer member of Kara, and he is fucking packing. You remember Bill Duke from Predator? That's basically Ao in this episode, as he just brings out a massive, ridiculous, oversized gun to try and take out all of these enemies and secure the secrets of Kara. So there's a lot to like about this episode, so let's go ahead and dive right in. First and foremost, manga readers are probably going to be squealing like fangirls because at the very beginning of the episode, we get our very first glimpse of a major new character for the series. I don't want to say his name quite yet. All I'll say is he's pretty freaking important. You've already seen him in the intros, and if you've been following the entire storyline about Kara and their mysterious inventions and machinations and experimentations, you're probably going to be able to figure out who he is. But still, it's really awesome to finally see him in the show officially, despite the fact that we don't even see his face or he even has any dialogue. But it's pretty cool to say the least. Most of this episode, however, follows Boruto and his team as they make their way to the crashdown airship, but not before getting some brand new equipment for Professor Katasuke, who is now testing out a ridiculous mechanized power suit. It looked crazy in the manga version. It looks even goofier here. He looks like some sort of weird Mega Man villain, but this is actually something that he desperately needs, as, let's face it, Katasuke is not exactly the best warrior in the world. He needs a little bit of help, and this power suit is actually pretty instrumental in this episode in going up against some of the mysterious enemies that they fight against. So Boruto and his team make their way to the crash ship, and it's covered with all these puppets which suddenly decide to spring to life and just start attacking them. And these things look utterly terrifying. We've seen a number of different like ninja puppets in the show, but these ones are completely autonomous, and they're terrifying. I don't know why they have these really giant, big, sharp teeth, aside from the fact that it just makes them look menacing and it's a cool design, but they also have the ability to fire these like big fireball attacks, which are essentially just bombs that go off, and it really puts our characters against the ropes here. And then Katasuke decides to freaking step it up, which I think is great, because for the most part, he's basically always running away with his tail between his legs, and he's not that useful, but luckily, his mechanized ninja suit allows him to do some pretty cool stuff, like the fact that he can summon these two giant black orbs, which have the ability to absorb pretty much chakra or any jutsu-styled attack, and he's able to basically continuously absorb all of their fire attacks to the point where they get overloaded and they can't use it anymore, which seems like a massive design flaw. So then after that, they just start cracking some puppet ninja skulls, but not before Katasuke takes a little bit of the secret information from one of them just to do a little bit of research. Luckily for them, right after that, Chamaru is with them. And did anybody else think that he had like the Doge face? The timing couldn't be more perfect because everybody's all about that Doge coin. We then get to what is probably one of the biggest parts of the episode, where Boruto and his team finally meet Konohamaru and Mugino, who is the mayor of Strugglesville. This guy is just having a bad day after getting attacked by one of these puppets, and he is severely injured. And this scene has a lot more impact in the anime version, as they've spent a considerable more amount of time of actually building up his character and making him feel like a character. In the manga, Mugino was just some random guy who just sort of popped up, who had pretty much no dialogue or interaction with the main characters. So everything that happens with him in this episode and the following scene has a lot more weight behind it. So yeah, I do appreciate all of that stuff. But basically, they're getting ready to make their plan as to what they're going to be doing next, when suddenly he just appears. Ao is just at the opening of this cave, and he just decides to bring out a gigantic, ridiculous, oversized freaking Gatling gun. And this weapon doesn't even look like it belongs in the Naruto-verse, but man, it is all sorts of awesome. Ao is no longer a shinobi. He's simply just a hardened warrior who's going to use the tools and things he needs to get the job done. And he reveals himself as an outer member of Kara. Why he's doing this, why he's joined this group, is completely and utterly mysterious, but it has completely changed the character and made him all the more interesting. Aside from simply just being the Mizukage's sidekick in the past, he's now elevated himself into being one hell of an interesting villain. We already know that he's skilled with ninjutsu, but now he's utilizing all of this crazy technology because his entire body is quite literally a weapon. And he basically realizes that they know all about the secrets of Kara, they know about the escaped vessel and everything that's going on here, and just about Kara in general, so he has no choice but to try and wipe all of them out. And he basically just lights this cave up with this massive machine gun, just destroying everything in his wake. And that's when Mugino decides that he's going to try and stop him by grabbing him from behind, which then ends up leading to his death. Yep, this is the episode where Mugino actually dies. Again, in the manga version, it didn't have a lot of weight behind it because you didn't know Mugino. You didn't know anything about his backstory. The fact that he was such close friends with Konohamaru. The fact that he had such an interesting backstory with a third Hokage. Like, all of that was elaborated on so much more in the anime version, and it makes this scene all the more powerful. Especially because his death is incredibly tragic, as Ao utilizes this, like, secret chakra lightsaber thing in his arm, which opens up and impales him through the back, and then Mugino just decides to bring the house down with an Earth-style technique, basically burying both of them under rubble. And then, suddenly, we get to see that Ao has suddenly survived as his cybernetic hand reaches up from the rubble as Boruto and his friends make a quick retreat. It is a powerfully scary scene to see Ao return, realizing that he has no choice but to hunt these people down and kill them. You can almost feel the conflict in his voice and see it in his emotions, as he's actually formed a little bit of an attachment to these characters, and now he has no choice but to actually kill him. He probably didn't even realize that he was going to run into these people again, but now he has to do it, as Kara demands results, and he's going to have to try and get them. So, what's the rundown on this episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? This was a really solid episode of the series, and a really great adaptation of the manga chapter with some really great moments. Again, the anime always manages to include scenes that I didn't care for that much in the manga version and make them really exciting. Case in point, Katasuke and his dumb ninja outfit. I mean, it looks goofy, and it's bulky, and it's mostly played for laughs, but the fact that he's able to competently actually work along with his friends now is really awesome. Now, of course, it is a double-edged sword in the fact that when Ao discovers this, he ends up taking one of these chakra-absorbing gauntlets for himself, and you know he's going to utilize that in the next major battle of the series. Considering he's going up against a bunch of young ninja who use nothing but jutsu-based techniques, this is going to give him a massive advantage in the coming battles here, but still some pretty good stuff. Also, some brand new anime material that I think is also just as intriguing as everything else that's going on is the fact that they're continuing to do some really interesting stuff with a member of Kara who goes by the name of Code. There's a scene in this episode where he suddenly attacks Jigen only for him to get his ass knocked against a wall, and of course him being a little jealous over the fact that basically Jigen is playing favorites with Kosh and Koji. This does not sit well with Code. Now, Code is a character who has done almost nothing in the manga version. He's basically been in the background this entire time, but the fact that they're continuing to build him into a lot of these scenes a little bit more leads me to believe that they have some big plans to utilize him in a different way in the anime version, or at least expand upon him a little bit more, maybe like they did with Mugino, because I would like to see that. I think it would be interesting. Again, it makes it so that whenever I'm watching the show too, it doesn't seem like I'm just watching an animated version of the manga chapter. There are different elements to it that manage to make it interesting. There are also some omissions that I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a conversation between Sumire and Sarada, which does not happen in this episode, and all of it connects to basically their feelings with Boruto. It's an element that they completely cut out here, and I don't know if that's for better or for worse. Again, I still managed to love all of the additions that they are actually including in this arc, and that made this a pretty strong episode, but just strap yourselves in. More awesome ninja action is getting ready to kick off. There's going to be a lot of really cool fights coming along, brand new characters popping up. Just stay tuned. The Kara arc is just getting started. And this episode right here I thought was really solid, which is why I'm going to drop a 4 out of 5 on this one. I thought it was a really solid addition to this arc right here. There were a few moments that didn't look all that great, but for the most part, this was a solid addition to the series, which was high on the action and even had some good emotional moments, like with the big death of Mugino, which, like I said, meant nothing in the manga, means so much more in the anime version. It was a powerful moment for his character as he sacrificed himself to save all of his brand new friends that have had a massive impact on his life, even going as far as to take down Ao, who had a pretty big interaction with him in a previous episode. Again, in another scene which never took place in the manga version. They did a great job of building on his character, and because of that, I will never forget him for the series. So like I said, solid experience, good production value, great episode of Boruto. Check it out. I would love to get your thoughts about this episode. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below, telling me what you thought about the latest episode of Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, and what you're hoping to see from the rest of the current Kara arc and beyond. Let's discuss all of it. Comment section Awesome, guys. Thank you for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Remember, if you liked this video, smash the like button. It helps out these videos so much and ensures more people can see my content. I'd also like to take this time to thank all of my patrons. You guys are amazing, just simply watching my content, liking them, and leaving me comments. But you always manage to do just a little bit more by making those monthly donations, which I cannot thank you enough for. It is amazing. Remember, first-time donators, I'll review an anime series of your choice, and I would love to add your name to this list of super awesome people, the producers of Ace Guru. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.